price tag. Right now it's only $26.99, which is a full $1,000 cheaper than the Raider, and it's the same GPU. So I mean, in terms of value, the Vector is obviously
Bạn
designed
em
to
mang bộ
cater
phá.
more towards the value with, there's no
Ui
light
mẹ
bar in the
thôi,
front,
chơi
but it
kiểu
has the
gì
same
nhỉ?
external chassis as the Raider. So I feel like from a value perspective, the Vector is likely to be better buy. The Raider, I would say, is going to be the flagship for most people because it's going to be not overly priced too much compared to the other top flagships, but it's gonna vary from what you need in a laptop. The Strix G18, this is probably one of my favorite 18-inch laptops on a more reasonable budget. Basically, we're looking at the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX RTX 5080, 32 gigs of DDR5 8600, and a 2 terabyte SSD, QHD plus 240 hertz, 500 nits, 100% P3 color gamut. The nice thing about this one is that it is quite a bit cheaper than a lot of the other top spec, most premium laptops. Well, this one does have a lot of nice premium features, like it's got a 360-degree light bar with a toolless bottom to open the bottom up, and it's got a very nice cooling system, and it's still the same one as the Scar 18, and it's got some pretty nice ports as well on it. So the toolless bottom even works for the SSDs. So I really like the Strix G18 from a premium features as well as ease of use perspective, and it's not grossly overpriced for the money. Like, it's more reasonably priced for what you're getting inside of the chassis. Razer Blade 18. This is another 4K plus 240 hertz though here, so not 120 hertz. It's gonna be a lot better for esports. The 120 hertz.
Làm cho đầu thế.
It's just not enough for me for esports. So for esports gamers out there, I don't think the Raider 18HX is likely the one you're gonna want to go for. Whereas the Blade 18, if you're going for a 4K and you want to play esports quite well, this one's not only a 240 hertz 4K plus, it's a 440 hertz full HD plus. So if you really want to go to esports focus, you can certainly do that with the Blade 18. But the Blade 18 also costs even more than the Raider. Alienware Area 51M with the Intel Core Ultra 9 275HX. Now this one has a 5090 in it, and notice how it's only $200 more than the Raider right now. So in terms of value, the Raider is definitely going to provide less value, less bang for your buck than the Area 51M. And I'm not sure what the 5080 version costs. Let me see if I can. Right now, $34.49. So it is undercutting the price of the Raider by about $350. But it's not the cheapest 5080 on the market, that's for sure. Now, another one to consider, of course, would be the Scar 18, which is very similar to the G18, just slight premium upgrades. But I would say you're after the most premium laptop for your money, you could consider getting the 3D-enabled Legion 9i with an RTX 5080 and a 275HX. Of course, you could go for the 5090 version of any of these, or the 5070 Ti if you want even more value or bang for the buck. Legion 9i, Intel Core Ultra 9, 275HX, RTX 5080. Downside here is it's slower RAM, and the big upside though is it has 3D naked eye without 3D glasses, called I think they're calling it like naked eye 3D or something like that. But basically, it tracks your eyes and uses a lenticular display to send those pixels to your eyeballs at left and right alternating to split that light and make you see 3D without any kind of like wearing glasses fatigue or like a VR headset. Usually weighs a lot on your head, it clamps down on your head, and this would allow 3D without needing any kind of external headset apparatus to basically go on your head. So I have seen this effect on Asus and Acer laptops in the past, and I did like 3D. It was very clear, and but for certain types of games, it's not work very well. I don't think first-person shooters would be that great with it, but 3D adventure games like Elden Ring would probably be amazing with it. I have to actually test it out though. I'm hoping Lenovo will send me one of these to test sometime soon. You can see this is one of the most expensive 18-inch laptops with $38.56 for the price right now. And that's even with it being partially on sale. I mean, there's a lot of sales going on right now. The biggest pros here are a high-performance chassis with a very high-quality chassis. Great keyboard, a mouse, good port selection, And your performance should be on point with this chassis. You should be getting top tier performance with this one. We'll see how we are today in our actual tests. Biggest cons: the lack of G-Sync and Advanced Optimus. It doesn't feel great when you're spending nearly $4,000 on a laptop. I feel like that is something MSI needs to put in here, especially on a 4K display where you're more likely to get screen tearing because of the increased resolution and the lower average FPS. The other thing is the bloom on this 4K mini LED display is one of the most pronounced blooms that I've seen on any gaming laptop. And so we'll take a look at a bloom test today as well to show you that. Now, if you're generally dealing with brighter content, video games in brighter environments, you're not going to notice the bloom ever, pretty much, because it only happens on dark backgrounds with light objects. Now, if you like playing horror games with like darkness and then fire effects or flashlights and stuff, the bloom is not going to be very good. It's going to be very noticeable in those types of situations. And for that reason, I think the mini LED in this one is one of the worst out of the mini LED options in the 18-inch chassis. I don't think MSI has improved it in the last couple of years. So that's probably the biggest con to me. So let's get into the unboxing. So this is the external of the box. You see Raider 18HX AI A2XWIG. Got nice MSI branding on here. Here is a quick start guide, a warranty guide card, Dragon Forge Dominance, thank you for supporting MSI, saying to register your product for exclusive early bird benefits with the QR code. So I wonder what they come with, I don't know. MSI's customer help support line here, 1-88447-6564, and it's Monday through Sunday, 24 hours, so actually really nice if it's a 24-hour support line. And this comes with a 12 months limited warranty. All right, so it's going to cover most of the things that break on a laptop, at least during the first 12 months. You can also see the initial scan card here. You can see where all the ports are, the names are, and all that. You can pause that and take a detailed look at this if you would like. But we'll be going over all of this in detail in today's video. And let's go to our top down. So the laptop's inside of here. This is quite a nice material. Got a metal top deck with a LED RGB logo here from MSI. This, I believe, is plastic, though it does feel like high-quality plastic. And in some senses, I don't mind the plastic here on the back because this is where normally a laptop will get very, very hot. And this allows the laptop to stay cooler, to the touch at least, you know. But it does, I believe this makes it a bit harder to open the way they designed this. Opening this up, you can see what the laptop looks like on the inside. And I do think that this keyboard feels excellent overall. We'll talk about the keyboard and trackpad in a little while. Notice that there's a fingerprint sensor here. There's also Windows Hello on the camera at the top. Flip this up. Let's take a look at the inside of the box. So we've got our MSI power adapter. This is a 400-watt power adapter, though I would say it's still fairly portable. This is a Chicone 400-watt with your MSI power plug. Then we've got our cable here. Let's see how long this power adapter cable is. Some part. Alright, so this is about 4 feet long, not particularly long. This power cable, though, is longer, about 5.5 feet for this cable. So that's a nice length. So we're looking at 7 pounds, 14.1 ounces for just the laptop. With the power adapter and cable, we're looking at 10 pounds, 13 ounces. So the power adapter and the cable is almost 3 pounds.
Balloon.
So all total, you're looking at almost 11 pounds in terms of total carry weight, which is, I think, the highest we've seen so far. Let's go ahead and do the flex test. Going along the top. Do it on the outside of the screen first. Definitely some flex, especially in the middle on the back of the screen. Hinge feels pretty firm. And for an 18-inch chassis, there's surprisingly little wobble. There is some wobble, though. let's do our flex test on the main chassis now. All right, so no flex, some flex right here, even on the wrist stretch, which is, I think this could be a little stiffer, but it still feels pretty good. Going on the left side. No flex in the wrist rest, but right here by the touchpad, there's more flex than I'd recommend. I'd recommend them build another support under the center middle here. And that'll help with the wrist rest some as well. No flex on the left. Going up to this left side, there's definitely some flex here still. Overall, I would say this is a little bit more flexy than I would like in certain areas, but it still feels pretty good when you're actually using a laptop. It's stiff enough to feel good when you're using a laptop, which is probably the most important. I think it's fine. We've got a Steel Series keyboard here. I love the spacing and the lighting on this keyboard. It feels really good. And let's see how far back the hinge can go. So that's the furthest it can extend out. It's not bad. It's not 100%. Not 180 degrees for some people would prefer, but I don't think that's a problem. I think that's plenty far enough back for my taste. All right, so let's go ahead and do our removing of the bottom. This is a very interesting underside design. You'll notice we have a bit of a, I would describe this as like almost a thermal bump, just like the Blade series. It really comes up because the front is pretty minimal. Then about 1/3 back, it comes up a 1/4 inch, and then these back 2 corners also raise up another, 1/4 inch or so. So it really gives you that two-stage look, or 3-stage look. The rear here, I think, wraps around. Okay, and looking at all the screws laying around here, I think they're all the same size. So you don't have to worry about putting a screw through your motherboard if you put it in the wrong hole, I don't think. I gotta say, they did a creative job with this. These rubber feet, looks cool. I like the way the underside is designed. Alright, so there's the bottom off. And that's what we got going on the inside here. So, the biggest difference between the Raider and the Tech series is that this utilizes heat pipes instead of a vapor chamber. But notice that they still managed to have a PCIe Gen 5 cooling loop added. Love that. You've got a Gen 4 SSD here. Looks like a slot for another SSD could be put in at this point in the motherboard. But it doesn't have the receivers put in here, nor the mounting bracket. Another SSD slot looks like it could be put in here. So 1, 2, 3 slots, 4 slots potentially on the motherboard itself, but currently you can only put in 2 SSDs. Here and here. Now for our Wi-Fi, we have the Killer. It's a Killer brand. Killer BE1750X. But it's also an Intel Killer. Intel Killer, so on it. That's interesting. Let's evaluate the thermal design of this laptop. 2 giant fans. These are very big fans with a lot of heat exhaust, left and right side, with big, thick heat vents here. Heat vent stacks, which are nice to see. The cooling focus of this laptop is definitely on the GPU, because we have 5 heat pipes going to the GPU with a dedicated heat pipe right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 heat pipes in this laptop, which is maybe the most I've ever seen in a laptop. Maybe, I don't know, that's a lot of heat pipes. It's a pretty intricate cooling system. I imagine it is going to work just fine though. I'm not anticipating any problems in terms of cooling. This looks like it's going to be plenty cool enough for the 175 GPU power limit. Let's take a look at the RAM in this laptop. 32 gigs, PC5 6400. And it's Micron. There is only 2 SODIMM slots, 1, 2, not 4. So I know some of the people really want to be able to take the RAM to crazy high amounts, but on this one, you're not going to be able to. I think the only question I have about the internals is, are these two SSD slots actually, can you populate them? Because it looks like you would need to solder the connectors to here and you'd be able to do it, but it's not that way out of the box. I wonder if a production model unit would have that. Maybe. All right, 99 watt-hour battery. So we're looking at max battery capacity. Nice to see.